We need to talk about Profusion Cosmetics and why nobody else is. Just kidding, sort of. I mean, there are only a few other creators that I watch regularly that I feel talk about Profusion and kind of keep up with their releases. And every time I've shared them on the channel, I do feel like I focus more on their limited edition collections, like their Jurassic Park collection or their new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection. And every time I am pleasantly surprised with the quality, and I always say, I gotta try more of their stuff that's non-limited edition, and I haven't gotten around to it until now. So I have almost a full face of Profusion Cosmetics to try today, including their new Twilight palette, which I'm so excited about. It looks beautiful, and they have a new drugstore foundation on shelves at Walmart. So we're gonna get into it, but first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. This channel is dedicated to budget beauty. If that sounds like your vibe, hit subscribe. Okay, so I did say almost. I do not have a face primer from Profusion, so I am gonna use my e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. This is the pink one, which has more niacinamide, but this is my favorite drugstore face primer, and it will give the Profusion foundation like a really good head start in the performance department. Now, very recently, Profusion just dropped their brand new Feel Good Skin Longwear Skin Perfector Foundation. This is cruelty-free and vegan. It's only $7.98 at Walmart. It's a hyaluronic acid and vitamin E infused medium to full coverage natural satin finish foundation with SPF 15. Like, how many more checkboxes can you check, really? I was a little nervous picking this up because I was trying to look at the shades online before shopping in store at Walmart. I don't know about you, but my Walmart has all the makeup now behind locked glass. So you can't really browse and pick things up and kind of compare shades. You have to know what you're getting before you call the person over to unlock the door. And what made me nervous about this range is that when I looked at the swatches on the brand's Instagram, they all looked like medium shades. The fair shade looked kind of more like light medium, and all the shades after that just kind of stayed in what I would consider the medium range. And then we get to deep, where I would say it's on the light side of deep. But small shade range aside, I was just confused with what I should choose. But I ended up going with light 200, we'll see. And we have this twist up pump packaging, pretty cool. This is definitely giving light medium. I'm gonna apply this with my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush today. Wow, a little goes a long way. I might have pumped out way too much. It's definitely scented. I can't put my finger on what it's supposed to smell like. It almost smells like candy. I'm not a huge fan of fragrance in makeup, especially foundation or anything that goes all over the face. Okay, I'm not gonna need the rest of what I pumped out. This was surprisingly spreadable. Also, did we not get full coverage in this one layer? I mean, this is supposed to be medium to full coverage, but I don't know, pedal to the metal, because I feel like we went straight to full. Honestly, I kind of feel like I may have over applied with just what was on my brush. I'm very tempted to go in with a sponge to pick up excess product. I gotta do it. So if you ever feel like you've applied too much foundation, just go in with a dry sponge, and this will pick up any excess product and help your blending. Yeah, this was a clean sponge, and I definitely had excess foundation on my face. So a little goes a long way. Now, shade-wise, light 200, definitely about one shade lighter than I would have liked, but I was just going by the photos online, so it definitely could have been worse. So this definitely has a satin finish. It is not super dewy, but it's not matte. You do get a little bit of that natural glow wherever it hits the light. I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but the coverage is seriously impressing me. So depending on how long this actually wears, because they're calling this their long wear foundation, it could definitely be a new go-to for under $8. It sort of reminds me of the Catrice True Skin foundation, which they don't sell it in stores here in the US, but you can get it on Amazon. And that one is $11. That's also a vegan formula with hyaluronic acid. I don't know if that one has SPF, but yeah, this could be a really good accessible alternative if it lasts as long. Gonna quickly fill in my brows with the e.l.f. Instant Lift pencil. The only thing that I'm disappointed with about this foundation is the fragrance. I feel like it's relatively strong. I mean, that could just be because it's freshly opened, but it hits so many other points that I like. It also says that it's non-comedogenic, which is good for acne-prone skin, but fragrance isn't. So if the fragrance is irritating, then it doesn't really matter if it's non-comedogenic, does it? I know this is a little out of order than I normally do my makeup, but I want to add some bronzer before going into my eye look because I do feel like I'm looking a little pasty. So here is their West Coast Glow Liquid Bronzer. This is $6. It's infused with vitamin A and E, vegan and cruelty-free. I have the shade Malibu. Again, just had to go off of their Instagram in terms of shade selection. It has this really interesting applicator. It almost looks like a lip applicator. Let's twist this up. Oop, okay, here we go. Test the shade first. I was hoping that I could bronzer with it and use it as both a bronzer and a contour. Let's see, we'll find out. It's giving slightly orange, but it's blending out really, really nicely. And keep in mind, I do have kind of closer to an olive skin tone. I'm on the cooler side. So, you know, it doesn't take a lot for a bronzer to pull orange on me. It's not awful. It's not awful. But I do think that this is helping to even out the foundation shade on me a bit. So it's doing the job that it needs to do. Okay, what I do think that this little tiny applicator is useful for is the nose, which typically I wouldn't do with a shade this warm, but that's handy. That's real handy. For $6, not bad at all. I mean, I've used recently just funky looking bronzers from the drugstore that cost a lot more. Another newer release from Profusion is actually going to supply a lot of today's face. This is the Artistry Essentials Kit. This is $19.99 at Walmart and does have almost a full face of makeup inside. So you get this cute little travel makeup pouch. Something just fell. It comes with 3 brushes and then we have some makeup and a sponge in here. So let's see what's inside here. Oh, clear brow gel. We need that. So this is their Good Brow Day Nourishing Clear Brow Gel. So from my understanding, these are all like minis of larger products you can buy from them. So just kind of a travel-friendly kit. I like this brow gel applicator spoolie. It's like really skinny, but it's combing through my brows nicely. Now there is an eyeshadow quad in here that is neutral/gold. Definitely a versatile little quad. You can do a lot with this just for some staple looks. And they also have their eyeshadow primer in here, which I am going to use. So I used this in my last video when I did the $50 makeup challenge because I believe this primer is under $4 when you buy the full size. This is just the little travel size. This primer is also one that spreads out really easily and you don't need as much as you think you need. And in fact, when I've over applied it, I get more creasing just from the primer moving around. So I really try to keep it in a thin layer and blend that out. Now I'm gonna be coming back to this kit because we also have a liquid eyeliner, a liquid blush, and a liquid highlight, as well as a setting spray. So I'm just gonna put this aside for now because it's time to go in to the Twilight palette. So when I first saw this, I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like Twilight the movie or just Twilight the time of night. And to be honest, I think they're being a little bit cheeky because there are shade names that sort of reference the movie, but this is obviously not an official collab. So I feel like this is their sneaky collab because we have shade names like Coven, also Eclipse, which is part of the Twilight franchise, Meadow, which was a big part of the movie because in the meadow is where he like showed her his sparkly skin and confessed to being a vampire. And then there's New Moon in here too, which is another book or movie in the franchise. So I see what you were doing here, Profusion. Either way, what really caught my eye and made me excited about this was just how beautiful this cool toned palette is. I feel like we don't have a ton of color schemes like this at the drugstore where all of them are on the cool side. They're a little bit muted when it comes to the neutrals. Also, can we just appreciate that Profusion gives us an actual brush in the palette? Like none of the sponge applicators. We get a decent blending brush, super soft and actually useful. So as you saw, I did swatch this ahead of time because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to every shade, but I wanted to see how every shade performed. And I mean, very similarly to the limited edition palettes, the mattes are rather pigmented, pretty creamy. They can be built up in color. The satin shades are very smooth and these glitters or like the metallic shades are so high impact. All right, I wanna set my primer with Dawn. Whoa. I swatched these. I don't know why I'm surprised at how pigmented they are. I thought this was gonna be a little bit less intense, but nope, we got a really rich mauve here. So I'm gonna have to blend this out a little more. We're adapting and we're improvising, people. Tapping into Meadow, I'm gonna bring that in my crease and blend it upward as well. Yeah, these mattes are really pigmented. And for the price, this palette is $11.99. I feel like that's cheaper than even some Makeup Revolution palettes, but the quality is speaking for itself. I do even think maybe these are a bit more creamy and pigmented than Wet n Wild shadows, which admittedly are some of my favorite at the drugstore, especially for the price. This is obviously a little bit more expensive than a Wet n Wild palette, but you get way more shades. I'm gonna go into Blood Moon. We're just gonna send it. It's a deep burgundy. This is definitely gonna be a little bit more of what I would consider a fall makeup look, but I mean, we're in August, so we're basically there. Pumpkin spice is upon us, people. I love this burgundy shade. It's so pretty. People need to start giving Profusion eyeshadow the hype it deserves because this is so good. This absolutely reminds me of BH Cosmetics before they shut down. Their eyeshadow palettes were staples in my collection for years, and this is absolutely reminiscent of that quality for sure. For my lid, I'm gonna dip in to Mesmerize here, which is this sort of pinky purple, but it has a silver shimmer to it. It almost has like a bluish silver shimmer within the pink. So beautiful. See, it's products like these where I'm like, why are people still buying $60 eyeshadow palettes when there's stuff like this for under 12? This is also cruelty-free and vegan, so I'm not sure if the entire brand is now. Just gonna deepen up this Blood Moon outer corner here, since I put that shimmer kind of over it. We're already getting a little bit of a sweat test on this foundation because it's so hot in front of my filming lights. I need to turn the air on. Now, just for a pop of something different, I want to put Moonlight in my inner corner, which is one of these like metallic glitter shades. Now, especially with these glittery shades, I'm definitely getting a little bit of fallout. They are very soft and buttery. So, I mean, general suggestion would be to do your eyes first with a palette like this, but it's not so crazy that it's messing up my makeup where I'd have to like wipe it off, you know? Another thing you could do, which I probably should have done, is if you do put your foundation on first, you can put a ton of setting powder under your eyes, which will catch all of the fallout, and then you can just brush it away. And then at the same time, you're baking your under eyes. Well, this is another win for Profusion eyeshadow palettes. I don't think I've met a Profusion palette that I haven't liked, but at least this one is permanent since the other ones I've tried were limited edition. And I think this is going to be a go-to of mine for fall or just like sultry nights out. And for the price, I'd say it's a must-have. Okay, let's try this Everlasting Waterproof Liquid Liner that came in the Artistry Essentials kit. Oh, it is a brush tip. Hallelujah. So it is a dip liner style brush. I don't want to do too dramatic of a wing, famous last words, but I do think I want to add lashes. So I'll do a thick enough one where I can hide the band. Forgot to zoom me back in. I'm able to get some pretty sharp lines there, so that's a win. Okay, I kind of love this liner. The brush is beautifully tapered and thin enough for me to get a nice point like that. That's exactly what I was going for, and we executed it. But can we do it on the other side? This side always comes out a little bit weird because I have more skin texture on this side of my face around my eye, and I feel like it always gets in the way of my eyeliner. Also, I made that a little bit thicker than the other side, but that's on me. It does dry pretty quickly, so if you are kind of going over the same spot to smooth it out, you want to not wait too long because once it's dry and you try layering over it, just like any other waterproof liquid liner, you might end up getting sort of a little bit of a crumbly look, which I have just a bit right here because I was layering it over to create a smooth line over that texture I was telling you about. But overall, really pretty, and the brush is great on this. Now, I did not see any mascara in the Profusion section at Walmart. I did see lashes, but honestly, they weren't really my style. So to prep my lashes for fake lashes, I'm gonna put on some Flower Beauty Dream Warrior mascara, and I'm gonna focus this actually in the inner corner because I'm using half lashes today, so those will still be pretty visible. So I have these kitten half lashes, also available at Walmart for $6.94, and you get 4 pairs. These are really cute and fluffy looking half lashes. Thought I'd give them a shot. They look really fluffy and wispy. They don't have that weird, like, you know, plasticky look that many cheaper false lashes have. And I will be honest, I feel like the couple of Profusion falsies that I have tried do sort of have that look just a little bit. So I don't think lashes are necessarily their strong suit, but they've got a lot of other stuff to boast about, so. Okay, these are very cute and I love how they flare out at the corner. However, I just have small eyes, and these are more like 3/4 lashes versus half lashes on me. I probably could have trimmed them a bit because they are really coming in pretty close to my inner corner, which makes kind of an awkward drop off from the lash band to the inner corner of my eye. Typically with half lashes, that's supposed to happen where your natural lashes are a bit thicker, so it's not as obvious. Because see how it just ends right here, and then my natural lashes are so sparse compared to the fake lash. But it's still a very pretty natural looking lash. It looks way higher end than they are. They're very fluffy. They've got that faux mink appearance. They're actually also very soft to the touch. I think what I'll do is I'll just add a little bit more mascara to my natural lashes and hopefully create a better balance, because I don't want to bring more eyeliner into my inner corner. That sort of closes off my eye. Okay, I really like these lashes. This is definitely going to be a brand that I revisit because these are so cute. I think next time I might just trim them a tiny bit, like 1 or 2 notches. All right, back to Profusion. In the Artistry Essentials kit, we have this mini Blush Hour liquid blush. Now, I've used the Blush Hour blushes before. The full-size ones come in a glass kind of frosted tube with a gold shimmery top, but this is a mini version. Now, the thing that I don't like about this Artistry Essentials kit is that they don't have the shades labeled on any of these products. So with this, as well as their liquid highlight, I know these are both products that they sell as like full sizes, and neither of these have shade names. So if you wanted to go and buy the bigger version of these because you liked these shades, you kind of have to guess. Looking at the swatches that I did for my blog when I reviewed these for the first time, I think this might be Bellini because it does look kind of like a warm brown type blush. I'm gonna use my liquid blush brush from e.l.f. and I'm gonna apply this to the back of my hand first. I've liked doing this recently to just get a more even liquid blush application versus dotting it on and trying to blend it out from there. And this allows me to sort of build up and control how much color I add, which I'm seeing the color. I see that it's definitely a warm, kind of neutral shade, and I don't want to add too much of it because it does not match my eyes. So I am going to keep this pretty light, but just know that these are relatively pigmented liquid blushes, and I will link the review that I did of these down below so you can see them a little bit more in their full glory. Maybe I'll do a YouTube short using all the products in the Artistry kit, including the eyeshadow palette, because that would absolutely match this way better. So you can kind of see the full look you can get if you just wanted to buy that little $20 kit, which honestly, it's a pretty good value. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that here so it's there, it's not overwhelming, but you can see on the back of my hand, it's almost like a terracotta, maybe not as red as terracotta. It's like a beigey peach. That's what I'm looking for, beigey peach. So now we have their Ray of Sunshine Illuminating Liquid Highlighter. And this looks sort of gold champagne, maybe a little bit pinky. I think if I had to guess, this might be their shade called Sunkissed, but again, I don't know, because it's not labeled. Because their other one looks a little bit more gold than this one. I love that it's not shimmery at all. This is just pure glow and radiance. Yeah, that's nice. Bonk, bonk. To top this look off, I have their Lip Glaze Lip Stain. This was $6, and I have the shade Lychee Glaze. This looked sort of like a neutral-ish pink. It's a little bit more of a candy pink than I expected. Has almost like a whipped consistency. Okay. Definitely a warmer pink than what we have going on the eyes, that's for sure. There's like a little bit of stickiness to it. I don't know if it just needs to dry down. Yeah, I don't know if I like how it feels on my lips. Also, it's definitely catching on the bit of dryness I have left over right here. My lips are definitely getting better. I'm using the O'Keeffe's lip repair, but there's still just a little bit of texture on them, and the color is definitely bunching. Yeah, I don't know if I like this. The color is pretty, and I'm curious to see if it stains evenly, but it's sticky. I'm gonna wait just a second, and then I might wipe a little bit of this off and see what we have left behind as a stain, just because I feel like it's sticking out like a sore thumb with this look. So give me a second. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I'm just gonna lighten this. Oh. Well, it stains. It stains real vibrant. I was actually expecting this to be a little bit sheerer as a stain, but no. So, I mean, it does what it says it's gonna do. I just wasn't a fan of how the color was working into the look. But I mean, the stain is really good. And now that I've wiped off kind of the excess, it doesn't feel sticky at all anymore. So maybe that's the tip with these, is put it on, let it stain, take off like that top layer so that it's not sticky, and then, I mean, the color's really strong. Okay, mixed feelings about this one. Okay, well, it's about 10:30. I'm gonna wear this makeup as long as I feel like it today. And I'll update you a little later on how everything is holding. Oh, wait. We have a setting spray. Do we want to put the setting spray on? Because I feel like I wanted to figure out how well the foundation performed on its own, and we already have that long-lasting primer underneath. I think I'm gonna skip the setting spray. I'll use this another time, maybe when I test out the whole kit by itself and do a full look with it. I really just wanna see how the foundation wears without anything on top of it. All right, I will check back in with you a little later. And we're back. It has been about 7 hours. It is now 5:36, and I'm tapping out because I feel like the makeup is tapping out at this point, at least in some areas. So if you've never watched me before, my skin type I would consider very combo. In the winter, I am extremely dry on like my cheeks and then pretty normal in my T-zone. And then in the summer, I am very oily in my T-zone and totally normal on my cheeks. So with that said, from about the apples of my cheeks to either side of my chin, going all the way up here, normal balanced skin, and that is where the foundation looks awesome. In my T-zone, I was really oily today, and that is where the foundation looks funky. Let me zoom you in. I would say especially around my nostril, you can see the foundation just breaking down, super patchy, and so much shine. Same on this side. I'm also missing foundation underneath my nose, and I've got some fading and patchiness on my chin as well, and you can see this spot coming through. I will say though, despite my forehead being really shiny, it's not looking as bad on my forehead. It's not breaking down as obviously. There's a little bit of coverage lost, but nothing crazy. And this is where the foundation actually earns points because it did not settle into any of my expression lines. So I have this one that a lot of foundations like to hang out in, this little expression line. And then up here as well, I often get creasing of foundation, and I don't see that at all with this. So there's a pro. But in the areas that are not my T-zone, the foundation looks great. And just a reminder, I did not set this foundation with powder or setting spray. So this is really just how it performs by itself. And in the cheek area and the jaw area, there's no coverage lost. It still looks smooth. There's no patchiness. So there's potential here. I don't think it's gonna be the best option for oily skin regardless, but I think it's workable for me, and definitely if you have normal skin, especially if I do end up setting it with some powder. There was also something that I read on their website. They call this a weightless full coverage moisturizer, and they consider it a skincare makeup hybrid. So I am curious how it would perform actually on bare skin without a primer and then setting it on top. So I feel like I want to reverse my my test and do that and see how it goes, and maybe I'll do an update in a short or just a future video, because I really do think that it has the potential to be a really good foundation. I think it's just going to be a matter of figuring out the best way to work it into my routine. Now let's talk about the eyes. I'm really impressed with this eyeshadow primer. This is not the first time I've used it, but this is maybe one of the more dramatic looks that I've done using it. And I can really see that there's zero creasing, especially with this silver shade in the corner. That was a really soft eyeshadow, and it has not creased or bunched or moved around at all. So that's one that I think I'm gonna seek out a full size of because it's cheaper than my other go-to, which was from Milani, and the new e.l.f. one. Also, another surprise hit was the brow gel. I totally skated over it as I was applying because it's clear brow gel, but it actually held up my brows all day, and there's no shiny cast. It doesn't look thick. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you use like stronghold brow gels and it looks like there's just a shiny, thick layer of product on them. But this is actually looking very natural while also giving me a strong enough hold, because my brows are pretty thick and heavy and not a lot of brow gels can keep them in place all day. They often end up kind of falling flat. I think this looks great. Now the eyeliner, I do want to point out that even though it technically didn't smudge or smear, it did flake off a little bit, because there was one point where I scratched at my eye and it just came off. There's a little bit of the tail left there, but it definitely flakes off if you come into contact with it. So waterproof, but not scratch proof. The blush and bronzer still look great. I already knew that I liked the blush, so no surprise there, but the bronzer still looks good. And considering that I did not set my face, there is not really a lot of fading of either product, I don't see. Now let's talk about this lip glaze. I don't like it. This may be the dud of the video because, I mean, you can kind of see the slightest bit of rosiness left on my lips, but I feel like it faded significantly from what you saw in the last clip pretty quickly. So we were here within an hour of that clip. Maybe it's because I didn't let it sit and stain very long before wiping it off, but I also did not like how it felt before wiping it off. So, you know, it's just not my favorite. It's not my favorite. So I'd say expect a lot of these Profusion products to show up in future videos, and I will figure out how to make this foundation work, and I'll try to share that with you in an update. But this is definitely a brand that I want to stay more in the loop with, not just with their limited edition products. So I want to know, do you have a Profusion favorite that you think I should try? Leave it in the comments. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you want to keep watching, join me over in this video next, where we find out, can we still do the $50 makeup challenge in 2024? Let's see. I'll see you over there. Bye.